it's Alyssa. I usually do every year my reactions to the Academy Awards and who won and who lost and all of that stuff. And this year was obviously a very, very different year. And I am going to talk about that, but I'm actually going to wait to talk about what happened at the show between Will Smith and Chris Rock at the end. Because at the end of the day, what really ended up happening is that the people that won, the films that won, that no one's talking about that. Nobody cares. No one cares about honoring the films. They're just talking about this event, which is shocking. It was shocking. But I don't want to take away from the people who actually won. Uh, you know, I had very mixed feelings on who won. I think in my poll, I got one movie wrong in my guessing, and that was for Best Animated Short, which I was really sure was going to go to Robin. But uh, I want to kind of get through all of that, go through the awards, then I'll address what happened at the end because I definitely have a few opinions about that. So, first of all, the show overall was okay. I thought the three hosts weren't awful, but they weren't the best. They had some funny jokes. I do feel like Amy Schumer definitely had some jokes that landed. Some of the Regina Hall stuff was funny, but it also was, you know, maybe like silly or tired jokes, like jokes that I feel like I've heard my entire life. Wanda Sykes was funny. I liked the part where she goes to the Academy Award Museum. That was fine. But there was nothing that really stood out at the end of the day with them. And I don't blame them at all for that. I don't feel like they had enough time to actually pull something together and create a show and really have that time to work together. You should have 6 months to work for a show like that. So for what they had and what they did, I actually thought they were fine. I miss having a host or hosts. Like I did think that helped to have those people sort of anchor you through the show. So that definitely worked. I was less upset about the awards that were filmed earlier and then integrated into the show. I didn't feel like it was that out of place. It did save a little bit of time, but in the end, the show still went way over. I think it was like half an hour over. And it felt like it was never ending. And there were definitely things. I mean, I thought that Bruno song could have gone, but I know that I am literally the only person in the universe who would say something like that. But I was like, this isn't even nominated. Why are we wasting our time? But the one thing that really stood out to me was it felt like it was a show that was made for younger people. And I'd never seen that at the Academy Awards before. I felt like the people that they were bringing in, yes, there were movie actors and actresses, but there were also a lot that weren't. I felt like there were a lot more pop stars, musicians that I'm ever used to seeing at one of these shows. I feel like the focus is always on the actors and the actresses, and I didn't necessarily feel that this time. I felt like everything was very sort of like staccato and all over the place, and the transitions didn't exactly go together, and it just felt like they were trying to appeal to a much younger audience, and I'm really not sure why, because younger people are not watching the Academy Awards. They just aren't. And if they know who won, they know because of Twitter. They're not sitting there watching the show, or they're watching like a clip of something that happened. It's kind of like older people and people who really, 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 really love movies are watching that show. So I don't know who they're trying to attract, because it's just, I don't feel like it's working, and it felt like they were pandering. So I wasn't such a fan with that. So I'm going to start with the awards, and I'm just going to look at the list I have here and go upward and kind of go from there. So I'm going to start off with original screenplay. I don't think that Belfast was a surprise in terms of being a winner, and I thought that movie was one of those movies that was just okay. And I wanted it to be so much better than it actually was. I thought the script was okay. It wasn't something that really stood out to me. I'm getting a little sick of, from a child's perspective, kind of stories. I didn't have the emotion that I thought I would have, but I like Kenneth Branagh, so that was that. And then for adapted screenplay, now this is where you lose me. This is where you really, really lose me. I know this is an unpopular opinion, so I will just say it. I did not really like Coda. I thought it was a good enough movie to exist in the universe. And if it had just been a movie that I watched, I would have been like, okay, that was fine. I'm glad I watched it. On to the next thing. There is no part of that film that is an Academy Award film to me. So the second when that won for adapted screenplay, I knew it was over, and I had felt like it was over going into the show, but that really just solidified the whole downward spiral of what was going to happen. So that was kind of awful. I thought Power of the Dog was such a strong contender there. The way that Jane Campion put that script together and was able to just like peel back characters and motivation and who they are and withhold things from the audience and have it all come together like this beautiful puzzle. It was just written so beautifully. And I thought The Lost Daughter was such an underrated movie. Yes, Olivia Colman was nominated. It's nominated for screenplay, but this speaks to what I think is a larger problem that I'm going to talk about when we get to the directing category. But I just thought this was a really interesting, brave film that was well written and had so much to say. And I just thought that Coda was such a basic script that follows a 3-act structure that really utilizes the most hyperbolic version of what a teacher is, a music teacher. Even just seeing that girl go to his house every afternoon, I'm like, this is not realistic. Like this would not happen. Uh, but then some of the others, like obviously, and I'm so happy for Dune to win all of these craft awards. It obviously deserves it. So I was very happy about visual effects. I was very happy about sound. I remember it got production design, cinematography, excellent, 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 excellent. I'm very happy it won those awards. It absolutely deserves them. Did I think Nightmare Alley was beautiful? I did. My heart sort of with some of the costumes and some of the production design, especially that beginning of Nightmare Alley, not the very beginning, but where he goes into the carnival with the sins and the head goes open. And that is so my vibe of like a look for something. But also Dune was so cool looking and revolutionary that there was no part of me that was upset that it won those awards. I really like that movie. It's not my favorite film from Denny. It's not a character driven film. I know that's not what it is. I knew that going into the story. But I was still really happy for him that he won all of these awards. I just wish it was for Blade Runner 2049. Then for I'm going to skip a couple so that they go in the order I want them to. For live action short, I felt so invested in The Long Goodbye. I love Riz Ahmed. I feel like he's such an underrated actor. I just watched Mogul Mowgli. He's so interesting and vivacious, and he is definitely in your face. And I was just really happy that he won that award. That was probably the award where I was like actually screaming that someone won. I was so happy for him. But also I saw the other one that was called Please Hold, and that was a really cool short. So I tried to watch more of the shorts than I normally do, and I'm glad that I did. I did see all of the ones that won, so I can see why they won, except for Best Animated Short, which I did not really like The Windshield Wiper. I thought it was a bit of a ripoff of Richard Linklater and the sort of feeling you get from Waking Life. So if you've ever seen Waking Life, I was like, this is essentially the same type of movie, only Waking Life is more developed and the themes are really thought out a bit more, and the kind of vignettes went together. I thought a little bit better. So that was sort of a disappointing award, but also I know not a lot of people are that worried about short, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much. Original song I knew would be No Time to Die, and it definitely deserved it. I actually enjoyed that song. That was probably the one that I enjoyed the most the whole night. It was definitely the performance I liked the most. So I'm glad that it won. For original score, it was Dune, but I really wanted The Power of the Dog. I thought Johnny Greenwood had such a strong score, and every scene connected to a character, and each character had their own song, and it added so much to the tone of the film. And his Spencer score was just beautiful. So I just really, really wanted him to win, and Hans Zimmer has won like 5 billion times. And I really like the Dune score. I'd probably say that was my second favorite score of the year. But man, I just loved The Power of the Dog. I thought that was such an incredible score, such an incredible movie. Um, and then going on to makeup and hairstyling, I totally agree that The Eyes of Tammy Faye should win. It wasn't my favorite movie of the year, but I didn't think it was bad. It was entertaining. I'm glad I watched it. I thought Jessica Chastain was really good in it. I know she cares about that role a lot. It may not have been my favorite performance from her. It was very, very showy, but she does, nail who Tammy Faye Baker is. I will always go for a more subtle role like a Kristen Stewart, but she did a really good job, and I guess I'll get to that later, but I'm glad that one for makeup. International film, embarrassingly enough, the only one I've seen here is Flea, and I really enjoyed Flea quite a bit. But where I am right now, I don't have access to Worst Person in the World, which I feel like is going to be my type of film. It looks like the kind of movie that I'm drawn to. Um, but I'm glad Drive My Car won. I haven't seen it yet. I will see it on HBO Max. I tried to get in as many as possible, as many Academy Award movies as possible. That one was 3 hours long, so that was kind of the one that went to the sideline. So that I thought, better to watch Licorice Pizza and watch The Lost Daughter than to just get the one movie in. But I'll definitely be seeing that soon. Film editing, yeah, I'm glad that Dune won. I thought that Tick Tick Boom had really interesting editing. I thought Power of the Dog had really great editing, and the way they were, once again, unraveling characters and their motivation. But Dune is a super complex story, and I've never read that book. And the fact that I could understand what was going on in that movie, it was just a feat in and of itself. I just kept asking my husband beforehand, like, all right, go over the spice again. Like, go over it with me again. Like, I wanted to understand this movie. And within 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I totally get it. And that's a testament to the writing also. And I think Denny did such a great job writing this as well. But the editing definitely helped to clarify what was going on. And so next was documentary short subject, and I'm so glad it was The Queen of Basketball. I saw that documentary yesterday, and I was crying, crying, crying the last 5 minutes of that, and kind of couldn't get myself under control. But for a person who doesn't like sports at all, could honestly care less, I thought it was a really moving documentary. And Lucy, who the story is about, is just such an intriguing person. And then to know that she's passed away recently, it's just like, oh, that's awful, but I'm so happy that this film won. For documentary feature, I do feel like at this point you do need to at least address the fact that this is the nomination where Will Smith did hit Chris Rock. So honestly, I felt so like off from what happened that it was kind of difficult to process Questlove and him winning for Summer of Soul. And he looked so happy and shocked and overwhelmed, and he was crying, and it was so beautiful. But like, to have it right after this moment where things felt so tarnished and uneasy and no one really understood what was going on, I just feel really bad for him. I feel like here's a man who found all of this information. He put everything together. He put his heart into this. He cares so deeply. And then this just happened beforehand. I'm honestly still trying to process it in a way. I definitely thought that Cruella was a good choice for costume design. Once again, I'm more partial to Nightmare Alley. That's just my sort of aesthetic of what I'm interested in. But it was a huge part of the film, and I liked it. I thought it was good. And then animated feature, another pretty hot take. I did not love Encanto. I did not think that was the best animated film of the year. I actually really didn't like the music in it. I felt like it was way too poppy and it didn't connect to the culture enough to me. I thought the one nominated song did, and that was my favorite song in the whole film, but I just felt like this is a story about trauma, but we're not really getting into the depth of what the film is trying to say because it's for kids, so I get that, but at the same time, it was, not my favorite. I thought Mitchell's versus the Machines was the best animated film that I saw because Flea was a great story, but if I'm talking about like animation, I do think that Mitchell's versus the Machines, it was the best and I really loved what it was about and the message it had. But also I really did love Raya and the Last Dragon and I saw that recently and I was like, "Oh, I just connected to it so much better." So, I it is what it is. It is what it is. I knew Encanto was going to win. It's not a big deal. But there's that. And then in supporting actress, not a shock at all that Ariana DeBose won. I thought her speech was wonderful. I thought her outfit was even more wonderful. It was like my favorite outfit of the night, probably. And I thought she was really great in the movie. Did I like Kirsten Dunst better? Yes, because I just like that movie better. And I thought that character was so interesting. But Ariana DeBose did a great job, and I liked West Side Story a lot more than I expected. I went in so negatively, I really did, and I'm gonna say, well, it was Mike Feist who won me over in the first like 5 minutes of the movie. I'm like, who is this actor? Why is he so good? Why does he understand everything that this movie is supposed to be? So I felt like they were the two strongest actors. Absolutely, Ansel Elgort was not one of the strongest actors. He was pretty disappointing in the movie, but I'm really glad that she won. And then for supporting actor, I'm glad that Troy Kotsur won. He was definitely my favorite part of the movie. So in a movie that I thought was just a good movie, like a passable good movie, I did think that he was the best part, and I thought his sense of timing and comedy and all of that was just so great in the film. He has such a likable personality in the movie. He has such a likable personality in real life. So it was a really nice moment to have. Getting into actresses, I actually really love all five of these actresses. I wasn't crazy about Nicole Kidman, but also I didn't think she was bad. I thought she really worked hard at the role. I didn't think the script was perfect, but I was kind of surprised by her and the fact that I didn't dislike it. And to me, that is actually an oddly enough a compliment. I just loved Kristen Stewart and Spencer. I just loved Olivia Colman. I thought she was just everything in The Lost Daughter. I actually thought that Dakota Johnson probably should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress rather than Jessie Buckley. I actually thought that performance was much better, like much better. But it was still a great moment to see Jessica Chastain. And yes, I have to see Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, but I always like her, so I don't think she will disappoint. And then I guess just for the sake of talking about everything, for Best Picture, it was Coda. We know how I feel about that. We know, I mean, I out of this list, what did I like better? I didn't see Drive My Car, but I did like Dune better. I liked Licorice Pizza better. I like Nightmare Alley better. I like Power of the Dog better. And I definitely like West Side Story better. And I think I like Belfast better. I think there was just enough art in Belfast that I was able to have something to dig into. Also, sorry that the light is just attacking me right now, but I wanted to get this done after work, and this is how the sun is, and I'm just gonna deal with it. It's fine. So let's get to the last thing, which is Will Smith winning, which we all knew he was going to win. There was zero chance that he was going to lose this award. And so, with that knowledge, and obviously he had that knowledge, I really don't understand why he took the route that he did. I can see or understand the perspective because Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia, that would be a very sore topic and you wouldn't make a joke out of that. And but at the same time, I'm not convinced that Chris Rock knew that she had that autoimmune disorder. I didn't know that. Also, a lot of people are shaving their heads now, and I don't even think that's weird or bizarre. Was it a great joke? No. It was a really old, kind of outdated sort of joke, if anything. I don't know if many people above the age of, or below the age of 30 got the reference. I just don't think they would, but it was a joke. It wasn't a great joke, but you will never win in my eyes if you physically go after someone. Like if Will Smith was upset and he was yelling things or he was cursing at him from his seat, I'd be like, it's fine. He's upset. I get it. And then just move past it. And it wouldn't have been so big of a deal. The second you get up and you physically hit someone, I feel like that just ends the conversation. And I was a little bit taken aback that he was able to just kind of stay, wait it out, get his award, because would anyone else have been able to get away with hating someone who's presenting and then just going back to their seat and everything was fine? There's a handful of actors that would have gotten away with it, but I don't think your average person going down there and doing that would have gotten away with it. So it was just really shocking. It was really disappointing. Um, I really felt uncomfortable watching it, and it was a interesting series of events because I was texting my friend in Florida, and he had said there was something wrong with his TV, and he feels like he missed the joke with Will Smith. And then the same thing happened to me a minute later because I was like a little bit off, and I'm like, oh, I think this is real because we wouldn't both have like a glitch in our TVs. Like we didn't both have a problem with the internet at the exact same moment. And so then, yeah, he had got the uncensored version from Australia and sent it over. So I knew right away what was going on, and it really was shocking, and it distracted me for the rest of the night. It's so distracting that I got distracted and forgot to talk about Director right now, which was the one that I was kind of the most passionate about. So I'll wrap around to that at the end. But I just thought, oh, this was uncomfortable. And it was uncomfortable when he won. And then everyone gave him a standing ovation. And it's like, well, you've just assaulted someone like 20 minutes earlier. And everyone's looking at this like it's okay. And it was not the right reaction. And then that speech of his, I'm not gonna lie, I watched it 3 times today, and I think so many things that he said were so problematic. Like, he kept saying "protect" over and over and over again about the women in King Richard, like the actresses who he's not related to, and there was such an air, like an underlying air of misogyny where it's like he will protect Ingenue Ellis, who is, by his words, strong and delicate. Like, she's a grown adult. I think she can protect herself. Like, I think that's okay. I think the teenage girls, I think they're okay. They don't need you to protect them in the world. Like, it was just such odd use of language. And when he was saying that he was abused, he's taken abuse in Hollywood. All right. First of all, abuse in Hollywood, that is like Me Too. That is actors and actresses being sexually assaulted by people or put in really awful situations. That is abuse. I think the average human being goes through the kind of abuse that he's talking about if they have a customer service job, like if you work at a Starbucks, if you work at a Target, if you work at a food store, if you work anywhere where you are interacting with the public in healthcare, you're getting constantly verbally attacked by people. And that's just the reality of your job. And his experience is no worse than what many people in the world go through every single day. So I understand that emotions were really high, and I do see his point of view and why he was so upset. But some of the language that he was using, I'm just like, Oh my god, and he felt like he was taught like he was Neo, like he was the one, like he was the only one who could save things, or he has to give a voice to certain stories, but also, yes, so do so many other producers who are trying to bring great, incredible stories to the forefront, like Passing, which didn't even get nominated. I'll save Passing for a second because that I'm never getting over that. But so many films that try to really push what their topics are about. So just everything about it, it left me feeling odd. He's speaking for 6 minutes. They don't let anyone speak for more than 30 seconds. Maybe an actor gets to talk for 1 or 2 minutes, 6 minutes, and he's crying and he just kept repeating himself. It was so, so bizarre. But let me just now, I'm going to wrap back around to the director because I feel like this is so important. Thank God Jane Campion won something. Thank God this movie won something. But at the same time, when I was looking at this list and it's okay, Kenneth Branagh, Belfast, Drive My Car, Licorice Pizza, Power the Dog, West Side Story. I mean, I'm no there. It's so obvious, but there is such a pattern with directing that they are these really big, over the top films that have this very vast scope, like this very vast scope. And I'm not quite sure why films that have more of an insular scope, that really pay attention to very small details and shots and maybe make smaller things look larger than they are, like those very feminine films don't get nominated. And I think it is insane that Passing did not get nominated for any Academy Awards. I thought The Lost Daughter was far better than I expected it to be. I had no idea what the story was actually about, and it was something that I have never seen in a film before. It was just shot so beautifully and differently, just like an interesting kind of take on the story. So, so glad that Jane Campion won. She beyond deserved it. I thought that film was expertly put together. I just thought it was one of the, for me, it was just one of those stories that I just immediately clicked with what it was about. So, so disappointing. I do feel like if the Academy Awards occurred when they're supposed to occur in February, I really think Power of the Dog would have won, but it didn't, and that didn't happen, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, what's so important is acknowledging that these incredible films exist and that there are people out there that are making great, great pieces of art. And while I don't think all of this is shown in the nominated films, it never is. But there were some really noteworthy ones to look at. So that's all. That's all for my take. I feel like that was already way, way, way too long, and I need to go to bed because that was about, I think I got less than 4 hours last night. I could not sleep after that happened. I could not get off of Twitter, which is probably a bad thing, but I've been doing a lot of investigating and, it's all been very interesting. So, thank you so much. I am going to be doing a top 15 very soon. I've just been kind of waiting to make sure that I see certain films. So, I do want to make sure I see Drive My Car before I make that top list, but it will be coming soon. I've actually been really excited for film lately, not newer film, older film, and I have some new ideas for what I want to do with the channel. And while I know I can't always be consistent because of work and my schedule, I definitely have ideas that I want to start putting forward. So thank you so much. I would love to hear what you guys thought about the awards, the winners, the losers, the incredible events that happened. And I hope everyone has a good day. All right. Bye, guys.